Good evening. Last week I made a video on the diatonic chords in major, and I mentioned that I would follow up with one in minor because there's a few quirks in the minors that sort of deserve their own video. Anyway, all the rules stay the same except for one thing, and we'll get to that in a second. So if you can do diatonic major, you can do diatonic minor. So what are we talking about when we're talking about minor keys? So, what distinguishes one scale from another is the intervals between the scale degrees. So, the major scale sounds whole, whole, half, whole, 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 half. And a minor scale, in the Western sense, we are talking about a scale based off of the Aeolian mode, or the sixth mode of your major scale. And when we change that, you end up with, instead of having a major third between the first and third scale degree, you end up with a minor third. Okay, that's one way to think of a minor scale. Now, there are other modal minor scales, namely Dorian and Phrygian. We're not talking about those right now. Um, but in Western harmony, when we're usually 95% of the time when we're talking about a minor scale, we're talking about Aeolian. Okay, and it's um, so if a major scale is 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 1, a minor scale is 6 7 1 2 3 4 5 6 7, which gives you a whole, half, whole, whole, half, whole, whole as your minor key. And if you stack the thirds like we did before in the major ones, you'll end up with triads, and they're going to be the same as the major, except just remember they're in a different order. So down here you have the sixth scale degree becomes the minor one. The seven becomes the two, the one becomes the three, two becomes the four, etc., etc., etc. So you can see on here that there might be an issue, namely the five. Okay, so it doesn't have a diatonic leading tone, and it gives it a quote unquote modal sound. And some people say it's not as strong as a 1 5 1, or you have a major 1, minor 5, minor 1 isn't as strong or as prominent as a 1 5 1. But before we get there, let's go and just give it a listen. Okay, so here's your diatonic minor scale. I haven't changed anything yet. Okay, so 6 now becomes 1, 7 becomes 2, 1 becomes 3, and all that. So here's your natural minor, your Aeolian scale. Here's your diatonic chords. And if you notice, the 5 is lowercase because it's minor. And I've done some chord progression, so let's give it a listen. All right, it's not terrible, but it does kind of lack the strength that I commented on over here of the traditional 1 5 1 that you find in major. Okay, um, again, not to be judgmental, it's a flavor. Remember, I think of modes as flavors. So if you like that flavor, go ahead and use it. But some people really want a 5, and they're going to say, well, let's just make it. So how do you do it? You got to borrow the 7 from the parallel major. So that's how the G sharp ended up in the A minor scale. They went to the major scale, the A major, and said, you're coming with me, G sharp, get over here, you're now here. But it creates a problem. Can you find it? Did you hear that? Go back to the beginning. Can you hear it? All right. So you have this, what this is called an augmented second between the F and the G sharp. It sounds like a minor third, but it's not because it's spelled as a second. And even when you hear this, you can hear this augmented relationship between the 2 and the 3, and then between the 6 and the 7. All right. And it does have a very unique sound, but probably not what we would consider quote unquote Western. Let's keep going. All right. So it has this flavor. Okay, it's harmonic because now I can put this, have a major 5, but by having the major 5 or the diminished 7, but the sharp 7 creates a problem. You end up with the augmented second. It if you're playing along on written music and you see an augmented second, I've been playing for 30 years, and when you see it, you do a double take because it's just not an interval you usually see. It sounds odd. It sounds like a minor third, but it isn't, and it sort of gives you the sort of an Eastern sound. So over here on my harmonic minor chords, now I have the diminished 7 and a major 5, but by adding just that one, borrowing that one note, I've created this other issue with potential voice leading if I'm going to stay in a quote unquote harmonic minor scale. Okay, I'm sure you can find examples of it. Maybe there's some obscure Bach chorale or something that uses it. Supply your not always on your own, but it's just if you're writing, in 17th century kind of style, it's a interval you want to avoid. So I need a solution. And my solution is, guess what? I'm going to go borrow more. So I'm going to go borrow the sharp and raise the 6 from the parallel major. So I go, if I'm in A minor, I've already gone over to the G sharp, knocked him over the head, dragged him over to the minor, and I'm going to go over there to the F sharp, knock him over the head, and drag him over, and say, you're coming with me. Okay? And it solves the problem by now you don't have any weird, funky major seconds, or augmented seconds, excuse me, here. And ironically, the minor chord, the minor key, starts to look more like a major one, with having, well, except for the minor 1, you have your sort of your go-to 4 and 5 chords are now major. So let's give that a listen. Okay, here we go. Let's give that. Okay, so really the melodic minor is the compromise between the natural and the harmonic. Okay, so it gives you that 5 chord that with the 7 to 1 action in the voice leading, and it also solves the problem of having that augmented second. So here we go. Let's give it a listen. And because it is so special, okay, because it can use, if we're going to combine all of them, the best of the melodic and the natural, it has an ascending and a descending form. Give it again. If you've done auditions or done your juries or played stuff, this is something you know. So you have the melodic going up and the natural minor going down. Okay. So when you borrow more, you put the 6, you put the 7 from the parallel major in, and you end up with a melodic minor, and you end up with chords that really, if you look at it, it looks a lot like your major, except the 1 is minor. So it's a compromise. Okay, we're playing some minor sound with no augmented seconds. So you have a minor 1, a minor 2, which is your normal 2 chord. So you can do your 2, 5, 1 in minor. Forget about the 3. I'm sure you can probably find it. Actually, I think I have found it in some pieces where it's a passing 3 as an augmented chord, but we don't usually use 3 in older styles of writing. 4, 5 is major chords. Okay, the minor 6 and a diminished 7. So it does give you the best of both worlds in a minor key. You have your scales here, and guess what? Because they are minor, you can switch them out and use them. So, in my minor key, to stay minor, I have to come back to minor 1. That's kind of the rule, or else it's not a minor key. Okay, I have a choice between a minor and diminished second. I have a choice between a major and augmented third. A choice between a minor 4 and a major 4. I prefer the minor 4 because it really drives it home that it is in a minor key. You end up with a major or a minor 5 if you want that modal sound. That major 6 or minor 6, or a major 7 or a diminished 7. All right. So, for those of us who are in visual learner land, here you go. This is what they look like down here. So you have a 1. These are all your options in a minor key, and these would be considered, because of the way Western harmony is considered. These are considered diatonic. Okay, it's understood that when you're in a minor key, you have these extra color notes to play with, um, and flavors of diminished and minor and augmented and all that. So you can use any of them. So in a way, kind of, there's more toys to play with in your sandbox in a if you're strictly staying in a minor key. And then there is a bit of irony. And the irony is that a minor key can have more major chords than a diatonic major key. If you know this progression, 1, 6, 3, 7, gets used a lot. It is still considered a minor progression because of that minor 1. And for whatever reason, it just does not sound the same in major. But that's just sort of a sideline here. Anyway, if you found this video helpful, interesting, or useful, the link is in the description. The studio is open. Way I teach is through inquiry. So you are in charge. You will do. I will give you a task, and then we're going to sort of go off from that. And I don't expect you to know everything about harmony or composing, but you will give an idea, and then I will throw several ideas at you based off of your idea, just to spark the creativity. The course is within a year you will have at least one piece of music ready to go to publish, complete, ready to engrave, and you can publish it, play with your community band, do whatever you want with it. If you find that interesting, give me a call in the description. Have a nice day.